Hi everyone, welcome back to the audit and attestation class, and this class of specific procedure to obtain sufficient appropriate evidence of audit data analytics. We'll be covering part 4 of audit data analytics. Please go through part 1, 2 and 3 before jumping into this session, because this is in continuation of part 1, 2 and 3. So in this session we'll be covering verification of the reliability of data used for the audit data analytics and audit procedure required to validate the visualization and report used in audit data analytics. And then we'll do some practice question also. Let's dive into for more details.
So verification of reliability of data used in data analytics tools. So before we went on our lunch break, I'll quickly scroll through so that we understand how things and how flow is going on for data analytics. We understood like what is data analytics, what are the tools, techniques, usage in audit, advantage of data analytics, then 5-step model, category of data analytics, descriptive, prescriptive, predictive, right? Then we use like then we learn like different phases of the audit where we can use data analytics and what are the purpose they'll be solving at the different phases of the audit. After that, we jumped into, like we understood like overall scenario of the data analytics, but what the data we'll be using it, right? What will be the source of those data? So we understood like different source of the data, right? After that, like type of the data, structured data, unstructured data, and the attributes of the data we learned. So now we are coming on to the verification. Before using any data in the data analytics tool, which ultimately you'll be using for the audit purpose, it is very important to understand and evaluate the reliability of data which you are using for the data analytics purpose. Right. So now we'll be studying like reliability of data and the procedure as an auditor we need to perform to ensure the reliability of the data. Then we'll be studying the audit procedure required to validate the visualization and reports which is coming out of the data. So first thing we'll be studying the source of data and how you will be ensuring the reliability on the source of the data and the data you have extracted and put it in the system. Then after we'll be start testing the output. So output is like validation of the visualization and the reports which is coming up. So they're also like again 4-step model we'll be studying to understand and evaluate the output of data, and that's it about the data analytics. And then we'll be doing certain questions, and after that whatever the time will left over we'll go to the confirmation procedure. So let's get back to the reliability, verification of the reliability of data. So why verification of the reliability of data is important? To ensure what you are analyzing is right? If your data is not reliable, all the analysis you are performing through data analytics is of no use, right? So input data is mainly received from some type of information system, right? Which may be like ERP system, DSS system, MIS system, right? So different kind of information system you have in your organization. From there, you'll be extracting the data. So what is more important? To ensure the IT general control and application control on those information system from which you are extracting the data. So the important thing is, yes, Kush?
Sir, a question. Sorry to stop in between. Question, like when we are doing this particular piece of the data analytics section, do we need to include, let's say, IT experts so that they can tell us how the data is getting done?
Yes, absolutely true. Very good question. So when you are performing the audit of any client for which you are planning to use the data analytics tool, right? So you can use data analytics tool only and only when there is IT general controls and application controls are effective. Otherwise, the data you are extracting might not be a reliable data. So in that audit engagement, you need to involve your IT experts since from the beginning.
Sure, sir, makes sense.
Right? Because like everything, tool is just a platform and tool, right? They do not have like professional judgment. They do not have like human intelligence to understand and evaluate the data, whether the data is coming is absolutely right or wrong, right? So those things can be validated only through the IT general controls and application control. So that is very much. Yes, Kashish.
So this can be done at the initial stage itself, no?
Yes, since from the beginning.
Okay.
Since from the beginning, you will be involving IT teams. So they will be working with you in the planning stage, risk assessment phase, test of control phase, test of detail phase, all phases.
In order to perform the risk assessment,
yeah,
like
in big company, IT audit and financial statement audit, they both go hand in hand.
okay. So if there is any risk found in it, then we would be able to see it in our initial stage itself, like whether I.
Okay. Yeah. So just imagine a company like Facebook, Amazon, General Motor, Trimble, 𝐂𝐡𝐚𝐩𝐿, Intel, HP, Google. So without having like your IT audit team, how you can gain comfort over their financial statement, right? It's being mandatory kind of thing, without which you cannot give your opinion without involving IT team. So that's the reason in all the big companies they required CISA qualification mandatory, right? If in India, if you see for any bank audit, insurance audit, or maybe listed company audit or governmental audit, DISA is mandatory requirement for a chartered accountant, right? So this is the main reason. In DISA, we gain a deep understanding of IT general control and application control and how to test those controls. Same as globally, the CISA is being considered as an appropriate qualification for the IT auditors. Right? Make sense? So now,
Yes, sir.
Now we understood like what we need to do: IT general control testing and application control testing required to ensure that the sufficient and appropriate internal control to the information system and the function provide the reliable data. So what are audit procedures you will be performing to ensure the reliability of the data is being used in the data analytics tools? First one is like flow chart and flow diagram, data flow diagram. Right. So when you perform like walkthroughs, at that point of time also you make a critical path, right? You make a flow chart, how like transaction is initiated, how the transaction is processed, how the transaction is being recorded, and how the transaction is being reported, right? So that helps you to understand how the movement of the respective transaction is being taking place either in system or outside the system. So that's also very important for you to understand, right? The flow chart and data flow diagram to be obtained or create to gain an understanding of information sources, process, transformation, reporting, and disposition of the data. Second thing is test of control around the data being used if sourced internally within the organization. So test of control include IT general control and IT application control and your IT dependent manual controls and manual controls. Like for example, whether the company is doing a bank reconciliation or not. So bank reconciliation, review of bank reconciliation is an IT dependent manual controls where IT give the reports how the banking, right? And from the bank statement, you'll get the bank details, and then manually somebody is preparing it and someone is reviewing it, right? So those kind of test of controls, you need to ensure the control environment is good. Third is test IT general control and application control to ensure the component of IT infrastructure, inclusive of information system and software, are sufficiently controlled, right? So this also we have studied in chapter 2, IT general control and application control, right? And we have also studied the same thing in BEC as well in earlier section. Next is testing of information provided by entity, IPs. So this also we have discussed in detail in chapter 3, right? So testing of IP is also very important, and evaluate the spreadsheet control. If the information is coming from Excel sheet, right? Not directly from the information system. So you need to evaluate the manual controls around those spreadsheet that company do have to ensure the completeness and accuracy of the information and data coming from that spreadsheet. Next is like if you are using service organization data, if you are using payroll processing data by the service organization, right? In that case, you need to review the SOC 1 reports, right? And SOC 2 report as the case may be. Sixth is taking the confirmation from third party to verify the balance. For example, if you are doing the analysis of the AR and you have identified certain AR have very old balances, right? To corroborate those facts further, it will be good to send the confirmation to those customer to ensure that the receivable balance is actually due from the customer. Otherwise, you can suggest to write it off or to make it bad debts. Seventh is perform reperformance or recalculation of provided data to evaluate how data was produced. For example, you have extracted the data from system. Let's say sales register, you have extracted from the system. Is the total of sales register is being reconciling with the sales balance in the trial balance or not? So those recalculation or reperformance you need to do to ensure the accuracy and completeness of the data which you have accurated. Wherever possible, compare the data used in ADAs with the data from other internal sources. Or if possible from external entity sources. So same way, like for example, if you have taken a you can say dump of, you can say, movement of inventory balances, right? So there you can reconcile the inventory closing balance which is coming from the dump to the inventory balance lying in the trial balance to ensure the completeness and accuracy of those data. Ninth is data directly from the independent or external party source is being more reliable. So when you are using data analytics tools, you can use internal data as well as you can use external data. So like Bloomberg data. For example, internally you have taken the security. The company have, let's say, invested in 100 type of securities, right? And you can take the value of those security either from the security exchange or from the Bloomberg, right? And for example, company have operation in, let's say, 10 or 12 countries, right? From where do you take the exchange rate at the year? So you can take those exchange rate from like different sources which is being available in the market and compare that with the information provided by the entity, right? So external source are generally more reliable than the internal source, right? If you see 10th point, to provide assurance around the completeness inclusive of identifying and analyzing gaps and duplicate, it is better to program a sequence test and pre-numbered program. So to ensure the completeness of the transaction, it is always good to do a sequence check, date check, or pre-numbering document check, which we have discussed earlier, that for example, purchase order, that should be sequentially numbered from 1 to 100. So there should not be any missing purchase order. Same way is the sales invoice number, right? Same way is the bank document. Same way is the payment document. So you can do those testing. Next is to provide assurance about completeness. This we have done. 11th point, review the batch total, hash total, record total to validate the source data for completeness. You know what is batch total? Any idea what is batch total?
So usually when there is a batch run that is done, totaling of that, is that it?
Yeah. What is batch total? What is batch transaction? Any idea?
So ideally, yes, sir. So let's say a daily batch run or let's say a scheduled batch run would be performed, let's say our payroll, right? So there is a batch run at, let's say, during the day or end of the day, that kind of processes all those transactions in one go rather than individual transactions getting processed each time. So, you can just have a proper batch, which let's say 100,000, 5,000 transactions that would be just run in particular batch. And then it's same thing happens, let's say weekly, daily, or whatever timing it has been scheduled for.
Anyone else would like to add any example to Kush? Yeah, Kashish, Nimisha, Garvit, any idea what is batch total? No idea? Right. For example, let's say you are a retail you are in like apparels and accessories. Let's say you are a company, your name is Reebok or Adidas, right? So you have like so many stores across the countries, right? So what actually they do, stores, they do transaction throughout the day, and at the end of the day, they upload all their sales they have made in the respective store in a batch format to the Reebok or Adidas software. So the respective sales, rather than having a respective individual sales transaction, they upload the entire sales batch for the day or for the week in a one go. So that is called batch uploading. And the batch total should be tied with the individual line item transaction at that store level they have made. Same is the example like Kush was sharing about payroll. For payroll, let's say you have 100 employees, you have done the calculation of the payroll, and then the total of the batch, like total payroll expenditure and the provision relating to the employee benefit, you have posted an entry at month end at a batch level. Right? But within that batch, you have individual transaction, how those total is coming up. So reconciling the individual transaction total to the batch total is called batch total. Make sense? Yes, no?
Yes.
Maybe. Right. Next is hash total. Have you heard about this term before? Hash total?
Yeah, it's the total of invoices. Invoices का ही total होता है.
Yeah. So hash total could be of like different things. For example, if you have sales invoice numberings, so you can do the numbering total to ensure the completeness what is coming in system and what you have used in data analytics tool, right? Same way, if you have alphanumerics invoice number, so then the batch, so then the invoice count you can compare with the invoice count in the data analytics tools. Same way, purchase order number count to the purchase order number count in the data analytics tool. That is called hash total, where you are totaling the numbers, totaling the counts, or totaling the document number, totaling the invoice number, rather than amount or value. Make sense? Yeah, Garvit, Kashish.
So ideally, when we perform an IP, we extract a report system and tie back the total in the system with the extracted report, the total line item. So is it the example of hash totals?
No, that is a transaction. That is the tie back procedure or tie out procedure, where you are just tying up the value.
No. So total line item.
I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that. So the total line item you are comparing with the system total line item. That is a hash total. Now, third thing is batch total. Batch total is, for example, you have so many retail store, and every store is making sales throughout the day. Like some store has made 10 sale transactions, some has 20, some has 25, some has 5. At the end of the day, they are uploading the respective batch. So those respective batch is tying to those transaction at the details at the transaction level is called batch total.
Okay.
To validate these all
techniques. Clear नहीं हुआ. So batch total और hash total में exact difference क्या हुआ? Hash total में भी
batch total is again is for value, whereas hash total is for count.
नहीं, hash total is also for value. मतलब we total the number of invoices और हम उन invoices की total value नहीं.
Yes, so yeah, so but that is not for amount purpose.
हाँ, मतलब invoice number total होता है उसमें.
Yes, total of invoice number, total of purchase order number, total of document number, right?
Sales invoice number can also be.
Yes. Whereas batch total is the total of the value of those transactions within that batch. Make sense? Yeah, Nimisha?
Yeah, thank you.
Cool. So 12th is perform the summary statistics on the data and review the outcome to see if they tie to the auditor expectations. So whenever you are performing like data analytics, or whenever you are extracting the data and using the respective data for analytic purpose, so those data totals should be tying to the auditor expectation based on the historical experience of the auditor on the same client and same account balance in transactions. 13th is review non-relationship in financial statement. For example, ending balance in one account period should be the beginning balance of the subsequent period, right? Reconciling the data, utilizing the non-aggregation points and accounting rules to provide within the accounting information system. That can be include aggregating transaction data to tie to the subledger, like subledger and journal ledger reconciliation, right? Aggregating the subledger balances tying to the journal ledger, tying the journal ledger balance to the financial statement or trial balance. Last one is wherever needed, involve specialists to better evaluate the data. That is IT specialist, right? Wherever it is needed, it is better to involve the specialist. The specialist may be a part of internal audit team, forensic team, IT system team, or external party. So it can be anyone, right? This is how these all procedure you would be performing to test the reliability of the data which you are using for the data analytics purpose, right? Now coming to the increased reliability, how you can increase, how you can feel more data is more reliable. First is direct source are more appropriately validated extracted tools used to extract the data, increase the reliability of data. Evidence of audit is considered to be more reliable. What evidence is being considered to be more reliable for the data analytics purpose? One, which you have obtained directly as opposed to internal team members. Second, when you are sourcing the data independently, like third party. So for example, you are directly taking bank statement from bank, right? You are taking, you can say confirmation from receivable. You are taking the investment report from the, you can say what you call underwriters, right? So those data is being more reliable than the data which you have received internally from the company, right? Controls surrounding the input processing and storage, which is like IT general controls and application controls, and then effectiveness of internal controls. Fourth one is the original document is more reliable than the photocopy or scan copy or like email document, right? The evidence is documented as opposed to the inquiry. So those evidence which you consider or collected as a document is being more reliable than just an inquiry procedure you have performed from the management. So this is like the data, or you can say document, which is considered as a more reliable for the data analytics purpose. And this is similar for audit purposes. Like if you see for the audit purpose, if you need to give a hierarchy or sequence, which data is being more reliable? The data which is coming from third party, first, topmost reliability, right? After that, the data which you have extracted at yourself independently, right? Third, where you have like appropriate control environment and you are extracting or taking the data from the effective control environment, right? Original document is being more reliable than the photocopies, and document proof is being more reliable than the inquiry. So this is in the same sequence applied to any audit. Make sense? Yeah, Gurmehar, Kashish.
So they all increase the reliability, or so they are in the sequence itself. So basically, first one is more reliable.
Yeah, in a sequence, yes. So I would say in a sequence. The data which you get from third party, like from the lawyer, from the customer, from banker, from lender, are being generally more reliable, right? The second level of reliability is the data which you extract your own self, which is
coming. I have a question here. सर हम जो डेटा दूसरे सोर्सेज थर्ड पार्टी से जो एक्सट्रैक्ट करते हैं, सो सर हम उसको डेटा को मतलब कैसे कन्वर्ट करते हैं उस चीज को?
Like bank statement, you can extract from, like you can ask the bank to send you bank statement, or you can extract from their banking portal.
And sir, lawyer ka?
Lawyer ka, like you ask for the confirmation, you send them a request to give you the confirmation directly to you, not to the client.
Okay.
right?
तो सर
For example,
information तो फिर
investment purpose. Yeah.
सर वो इंफॉर्मेशन तो क्वालिटेटिव होगी ना, क्वांटिटेटिव थोड़ी ना होगी जिससे सर हमें डेटा में कन्वर्ट करना।
Qualitative is the reliable. Like what is reliability is the quality of the information you are getting. Right?
Okay.
Audit procedure required to validate the visualization and report. So far what we have discussed, like what is data analytics, what are the tools, techniques, benefits, usage, type of data, source of data. Now we are coming to actual data analytics and visualization of data analytics, right? So in the morning we have seen in an Excel sheet, I'm not sure whether that Excel sheet is still there. Yeah, so this Excel sheet. So if you have seen, like, you know what, you can see like different kind of data from here. So insert, if you go to insert, so you can have like charts like this. These all are visual tool, right? These all are visual tool, bar chart, right? Can you see my screen? Can you all see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Right? Can you see all these bar charts? Can you all see bar diagrams? Right? So these are bar diagram. These are like tree map and sunburst. Right? So these kind of visual, these all are actually visual tools. Right? So this is like pie chart. There are different type of pie charts. Right? These all are like scattered graph. Right? This is all like combination. This is like the map. This is like pivot chart. Right? This is like 3D map. This is like line map. Right? This is column, win zone. So these all are actually visual presentations of the data. So through these kind of diagrams and charts and graphs, right, you can visualize the information more better, and these things will actually help you in taking the appropriate decision. So just keep those diagrams in mind, and then let's understand this topic, right? The effectiveness of data analytics is dependent upon how well it can be utilized by an auditor to gain insight and provide audit evidence. This means that the output of data analytics need to be produced in such a format that the auditor can determine if there are relationship among the variables, underlying trends, and or outliers or abnormalities. This allows the auditor to evaluate the risk of material misstatement, provide evidence to back up or dispute, asserting dispute or findings, or trigger the needs of any additional procedure. Once the auditor plans to perform data analytics on data deemed to be relevant and reliable, the auditor must evaluate the group of outcome. So what actually these visualization tools provide to an auditor? So this visualization tool actually provide an auditor great insight, and it helps an auditor to establish the relationship between the two or more than two variables. Right? It helps the auditor in evaluating the risk better and identifying the abnormalities and outline items, so that you can test the respective sample based on the risk in those respective items, rather than just doing the random testing and other stuff. There are certain steps to validate those visualization reports which are coming from ADA. First one is determination of appropriateness of ADA application. So what you need to do to ensure those reports are coming out of data analytics tools are good for performance of the audit? What all things you need to do? First is determining the appropriateness of the data analytics tools, application of those tools. Second is using of those data visualization. Third is interpreting the result of the data visualization. And fourth one is evaluating and grouping the potential misstatement. And then lastly, performing the additional audit procedure required. So now, so if you see, like since morning what we have done, we understood what is data analytics, what are the benefit of data analytics, what are the tools, techniques available for the data analytics, in which stage of audit we can use the data analytics, and what are the type of data and format of data, and how we can ensure the reliability of data. Now we are coming to the last stage. That means we have put the reliable data into the data analytics tools, and now we are start using those reports for the purpose of risk assessment, for the purpose of execution, or for the purpose of conclusion, right? How do you use those tools, techniques, or you can say the reports, diagrams, charts, and visualization thing of the data analytics to ensure the appropriateness of your audit procedure? सबसे पहले what you do first is ensuring the appropriateness of the application of the ADA. Second is, once you ensure the application of data analytics tool is good, then second thing is you will be extracting those reports, like your maps, your diagrams, your pie chart, your you can say number chart, your sequential check, your relationship analysis, your you can say bar diagrams, your maps, so on and so forth, right? You will be making all those reports. Then after that, when you have all those reports in front of you, what next step you will be doing? You will be interpreting the result based on the understanding you gain at the planning stage, execution stage, and the completion stage, or from previous year, or from the inquiry with the management, or by performing the other audit procedure, right? During the audit, you do a lot of activities, and from all those activities, you gain a lot of knowledge about the client, right? And you have a lot of knowledge about the industry in which the client is operating. So based on those cumulative knowledge, you start interpreting those visualized images, right? And after that, by interpreting all those results, you extract the abnormalities, you extract the areas of the risk, right? You evaluate those areas where the risk of material misstatement lies. You evaluate those areas, identify those areas where risk of fraud is possible, right? And after that, the fifth step is performing additional audit procedure on those areas which has been identified as a risk. So this is principally the fourth step and the conclusion of that fourth step. So now let's understand one by one in each step what exactly we do. First one is determination of appropriateness of data analytics application. First thing is reconciling the output of data analytics tools to the underlying data. So that means if you are having the data analytics tools and you have put the reliable data in it. So what is the most important thing? First is to ensure the completeness and accuracy. How do you ensure the completeness and accuracy? By making the reconciliation from the information system data which you have used in data analytics tool. For example, if you are planning to analyze sales, so what is the total sales in the data analytics tools? You will be reconciling with the sales in the general ledger balance, right? Then only you will gain the comfort on the completeness and accuracy of the information in the data analytics tools. Second is evaluate the need of any modification or refinement of data analytics technique is required. So first thing is ensuring completeness and accuracy. Second is evaluating if there is any need of modification or refinement. Third is after the data analytics is deemed appropriate, the auditor can review the output of the data analytics to gain more insight and review of potential concerns. So that's the first step. Ensure the completeness, accuracy, and appropriateness of the data analytics, data in the data analytics tool. Second thing is using data visualization. Data visualization is converting the data, information, and content into easy to understand format like chart, diagram, graphs, and other visualization, right? It provides auditor better insight to make better decision for the risk assessment procedure at the planning stage and reaching to the conclusion. Chart, diagram, graphs, and other visualization may include pie chart, bar diagram, maps analysis, line chart, tree map, histogram, funnel, waterfall, scatter diagrams. All these things could be possible, right? Auditor should ensure the following while creating a data visualization to be used for the decision making for ethical and effective decision making. First is choosing the right type of visualization for the respective report. Like maybe for all type of analysis, pie chart may not be the standard one. Bar diagram may not be standard one. So this is very important for which type of analysis, which diagram or which visualization you are. Apply the correct scaling, right? So in that, like you need to provide the range. So for example, if you're doing like bar chart analysis, or if you're doing the line analysis, or if you're doing using the histogram analysis, so you need to provide the range, right? So it's important to give the correct scaling and correct range so that you can evaluate the entire data appropriately, right? Next is use appropriate color. So that's also very important. So you can give the color to the different, you can say visualization, visual images, or for different reasons. Emphasize on the focus area. That's also very important when you are using the visualization, how you are giving emphasis on the critical area. Third step is interpretation of the results. So now you have the data ready. Now you have all the images, diagram, charts ready. Now it's time to interpret those charts, diagram, and results. So once appropriateness of data analytic tools and input data is ensured and data summary is identified, the data visualization format, next step is to interpretation of the data result in the data visualization. Right? Interpretation of the result help the auditor in finding the relationship between the variable. It allows the auditor to better understand the nature of the entity or specific account or activity. Right? So what do you do in interpretation of data analytics? Right? What generally we do in the interpretation of data analytics? For example, if you have histogram, if you have bar chart, if you have pie chart, right? Through those images or those graph or those diagrams, you identify like how much percentage things are going right, how much percentage things are not going right, which items are not going right, which you can further drill down, right? So this, for example, the technique which you use for the visualization is for the analysis purposes, regression analysis. Regression can be simple regression or multiple regression. So what is regression analysis? When you are establishing the relationship between one variable to another variable, that is called simple regression. When you are establishing a relationship between one variable to the multiple variable, that is called multiple regression. Right? Variance analysis, period over period analysis, predictive analysis, trend analysis, group analysis, all this kind of analysis helps in interpreting the data. Once you are done with data visualization, interpretation, next thing is identification and evaluation of the potential misstatement, right? While evaluating the result of data analytics, there may be small or large number of potential misstatements that require attention of the auditor, right? For larger number of transactions which are homogeneous in nature, it is more efficient to evaluate them in a group, right? To better assess the auditor in review, to better analyze the result of data analytics, auditor can divide the result into two categories. One is clearly insequential, second is not clearly insequential. Clearly insequential are those misstatements which are not material to the financial statement. Hence, you can ignore them. Whereas not clearly insequential misstatement are those misstatements which are material to the financial statement, and you are required to perform the additional audit procedure for those identified mistakes, right? So what are additional procedure you will be performing? You will be doing group analysis, consideration of both quantitative and qualitative factor, possible identification of determination of possible misstatement, right? Potential fraudulent activity, evaluation of the possible misstatement, and determination of the nature, timing, and extent required for additional substantive audit procedures, right? So this is all about the data analytics. Any doubt or anything need more clarification?
Sir, one thing, just as a CPA, which is the best tool that we will have to, work
So
on.
like almost all the tools are really good and provide really great insight. Personally, I recommend like Microsoft Power BI tool. That's really good one and very well recognized across the globe. And Tableau is also really good too.
Okay. So after completing the CPA, then we will,
Yeah,
focus
you
more
can,
on.
yeah. You can do some data analytics course as well for the Microsoft Power BI or Tableau. So it will be a great, you can say, addition to your resume. Because nowadays, whether you are in finance, accounts, audit, any such profile, or in like internal audit, so data analytics is something must you should be aware of. That's the reason they put into the CPA curriculum. Earlier it was not, but now it's part of BEC and it is also part of audit.
Yes, sir. Even I have seen many JDs as well. So here they are also mentioned like analytical tools like SQL, Python is also mandatory.
Yes. SQL, Pythons are more technical, whereas like this data analytics tools is more for analyze, like because like our job is more relating to you can say
only to analyze the data and interpret it.
Yes.
Rather than focusing or getting deep dive into
coding or creating.
Coding or
yeah. Okay, let's do some practice question. Alex, a CPA, is currently auditing Fox, a C corporation. Fox is a completely outdoor retail chain and does not typically have many, if any, sales during the cold or rainy days. Alex wants to perform an audit data analytics that correlates sales with the weather data, right? If you see here, internal data correlation with the external data, weather data, right? So here the fact is given that the company do not make much sales in the rainy season or in the cold season. Now he wants to analyze the actual sales with the weather data. Which of the following approach to obtain the weather data would be the best way to enhance the data reliability? So the question is on data reliability. Which data you will be considered as more reliable for this analysis, right? Understood call of the question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Avneet, Gurmehar, Nimisha.
Yes, sir.
Right? So first point is Alex should obtain the weather data internal to Fox using the query language. So that means first option is you can take the data from the client. Second is Alex should discuss with management whether the pattern and impact and document the result. So second is inquiry procedure you can perform. Third is Alex should request that Fox provide a report of daily weather information. So you can ask like management to provide daily weather report. Third is Alex should utilize an external government website that maintain the weather data. Which data is being more reliable?
The last option.
Why?
Because it is like the quoted price for the financial price, like we discussed for the shares. So it was the quoted price which is available in the market.
Yeah.
And with management giving us the information can be a chance of they are changing the information or would be less reliable.
Yeah. So unless and until like control environment is operating effectiveness, right? But external data is always more reliable, or you can say most reliable data. Right, everyone? Kashish, Gurmehar,
yes, sir.
Kush?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Next question. Ricky, your best friend, wants to present the finding of his audit data analytics to his manager. He has decided to run a simple linear regression analysis to determine if utility expense corresponding to the daily temperature. Which visualization technique will aid Ricky in presenting and reviewing the audit data analytics to his manager? So Ricky is, let's say, is your staff or senior, and you are a manager, and Ricky wants to present the data in a data visualization format for the simple regression analysis. So which format will be better for him for the data visualization? Did you understand all of the question?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So this is for utility expenditure corresponding with the daily temperature. So Ricky wants to show to his manager utility expenditure compared to the daily temperature. So if temperature is high, then people are taking more soft drinks. Like that's a utility expenditure, let's say more ice, right? And if like weather is hot or cold, then people are taking more coffees, teas, right? So he wants to analyze that data.
So scatter plot is fine, but I'm also thinking from the line chart perspective also. We can show that as well, no? So confused between these two only.
Yeah.
Pie chart won't show the correlation, and bar chart will also not show because these are the standard horizontal or vertical bars. They won't really tell us what is the relation between it. But in the scattered and line chart, what we can do is when weather is cold, and we can see like how the line is going. It's going up and down, and how. At different weather lines.
Yeah.
So thinking from that perspective, like how scatter plot is different from line one.
How about others? Gurmehar, Kashish, Kush, Nimisha, what's your thought?
I remember studying this topic in BEC, जिसमें हमने एक regression करके topic पढ़ा था, and that regression topic actually relates to scatter plot. So, like उसमें we didn't talk about any of the other three, so that's why I think मतलब
yeah,
उससे पढ़ा ही scatter plot था.
Yeah, scatter plot will give better analysis of changing the weather impact on the utility expense. Line chart can be one, but more better presentation would be scattered plot. Right? So these
paper में हम कैसे ऐसे करेंगे मतलब?
No, when you go and read the definition of scatter plot and line chart, you'll see like why the scatter plot is better visualization technique.
Okay. Okay.
ठीक है.